tell you what. Boom. Right, come on, Simon. Where are you, man? Let me see if I can. I'm sure I've sent you an invitation already. Hold on. Add. Apology, man. I can understand why you business owners. Oi, you're sideways, man. You're sideways.
Oh, there we go. How's that?
That's better. Hey,
Bear with.
A little birdie told me you had a shave this morning for this.
Especially for you.
Especially for you.
Absolutely.
My hair. I had a shave too, sir. I had to get rid of that bush, man. I was looking in the mirror and it was scaring me. I was thinking, good grief. I'm sure I've read a story where there's a guy who looks like that. Robinson Crusoe.
Yeah, that's the one. Well, I think the little bird who told you that I was having a shave, I probably scared her when I was speaking to her.
Right. And just before we start, you got a lot of love, you know. There's a fair few ladies who would say, Simon Toon is, oh my God.
Oh, don't.
Mate, share your secrets, man. We'll come to that. We'll come to that a bit later on. I know what it is. I think it's because you're debonair, you're cool, You've got a cool name. You know, when you speak, you have authority. Ex-copper, obviously ex-copper,
Get it right.
Navy,
Well done.
Hey.
Something like that.
I figured out what it is, mate. It's uniform.
There you
I'm
go.
gonna get myself a uniform.
you need a Superman costume, I reckon.
I have got a little Superman bitmoji somewhere. I might start pulling it out. Hi Trisha Pratt, how are you, darling? Well, thanks for tuning in. I do believe we should be getting joined by a few others, but I'll tell you what, we'll kick off in a minute. Simon, what have you been up to today, man? Anything exciting?
Following up a few potential clients. I mean, it's been a bit. It's actually been really busy for me because I think a lot of people have got a lot of time on their hands, and they're thinking about how they want to move forward with what they're doing. Yeah. So, I mean, I get steady inquiries about software and mobile apps and stuff. But I think this whole situation has changed people a bit so that they're starting to think forwards. They're starting to think, what can I do proactively? I've had this idea for a while. Maybe I need to be doing something about it now. So it's funny. I've just emailed somebody this morning who the last email I had with them was on the day of lockdown. It was on the 23rd of March.
Oh my God.
And I'd sent them a draft specification. And I thought, do you know what? I'll just chase them up. I'll just keep in touch. Just because I don't know what their situation is. I've been on their website and they said, we're working from home and all this stuff. So I just sent them an email this morning and they've come straight back to me and said, let's grab a Zoom call on Thursday. And because I was just thinking, yeah.
And also, I'm so glad you said that because at the beginning of lockdown, so many people were saying, I'm not going to sell. I'm going to close my business down for a couple of months because people won't want to buy.
Yeah.
Did you not see the queues outside Asda? Did you not see that Amazon are posting record profits right now? People are buying, they're spending money, and absolutely right. What they've realised is that, oops, I wish I'd have sorted all my stuff out before this happened.
Yeah, but it goes onto the back burner, I think, of it because they're trying to run their own business day to day, and they get so tied up with that, and I get it, I do it, and I'm sure you do as well. Yeah. And it's not until it's almost enforced upon you that it's a situation where you start thinking, okay, I'm forced into this situation. I don't know where I'm going to be, don't know what I'm going to be doing. Let's look forward. Let's start thinking about it. Once you get over that initial shock.
Yeah.
So I've chased a couple this morning. Nigel, you're very quiet.
Jen Styles being cheeky. I'm always quiet, Jen.
It's because I'm hogging the conversation, Jen.
No, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
The thing is, you know, and you're spot on. This is about, for me, the conversation I'm having with a lot of people is about their online foundation because they've never bothered before, and now it's important that they're getting inquiries or awareness from their online stuff. They're now realising, maybe I need to kind of make sure it's working. So the kind of conversations I've been having. I had one yesterday with a lady, and you know, she's relied heavily on online directories to give her business without really focusing on creating her own funnels and leave her own breadcrumbs down for people to follow. And I think 3 minutes in, I kind of spotted straight away what was wrong. And if I'm honest, 95% of business owners I'm speaking to, it's the same thing. You know, the problems I'm encountering today with business owners are the same problems they had when I worked at Yale in 2007.
Yeah.
So if you think we're 13 years later and they're still not doing the things which are logical, but I suppose not logical to them. They're logical because you're a process-driven person. So you know, right, if I do A, then B, then C, then D, then E, that will result in F.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't think that. They're like, oh, I'll get a Facebook page and I'll picture my dog up there and, oh, I haven't put a website on. I didn't know you could do that. Really? It's that. But anyway, we're not going to move your mic. Whose mic's got to move? Oh, Simon or me?
Mine's right here.
Oh, you think I'm quiet, Jen?
I can hear you fine.
I'm just a naturally quiet guy. Right, let's kick on, sir. Let's kick on. So,
okay.
Love Sales Hate Selling members, I'm so chuffed to have the man himself, Mr. T, Simon Toon.
What are you talking about, fool?
This man actually does walk on water.
Oh, God.
You don't believe me? Book him in for a Zoom call and he can demonstrate it. He has knowledge, endless amounts of knowledge. And every time I hear him speak, I've got to say, I'm always kind of like, I'm always wowed.
Oh, thank you very much.
That's very kind. That I don't. And I love it when I speak to clever people, because clever people mean that it makes me want to go out and be even cleverer. So, I'll give a big round of applause now for Simon Toon, please. Come on. I can't hear you, but you can still do it. Yeah, boom. Turn up my volume. I've never had anyone say to me, but I'm quiet. Is that better? Is that better?
I can hear you absolutely fine. I don't know.
Sorry, mate. I'll turn it
down. No, it's fine.
Right, let's kick off then. So, Simon.
Yes. Hello.
Tell the world, what do you do for a business?
I'm a geek, basically. I'm a geek. There's two main strands to my business, but it's all based around software. I initially started up. I was doing some IT support and stuff, but I got into business software development, so writing custom software for businesses. And that started with a company that had a system that didn't do exactly what they wanted to do. Didn't have their system doing exactly what they wanted to do. They couldn't record the right things. They couldn't report on it correctly and all that sort of stuff. So I wrote them some software to do it. Latched into their own systems anyway, so they didn't have to get any new systems or databases or anything. So I wrote them a module. And that went on for quite a while, basically doing things for businesses that do a lot of things manually, use loads of spreadsheets, have things on different systems.
You bring all the processes together.
Yeah.
In one place without affecting what they're already using.
Absolutely. A lot of the time, depending on what they're using in the background, things like, and you're allowed to virtually slap me if I start talking geek at any point. Okay. But things like SQL.
I'll slap myself. We'll go through the video.
Okay.
Every time we go geek, I'm going to put my wig on.
Okay. Right. Okay. Things like SQL databases or Sage backgrounds. Okay. Different types of databases or stuff like that they're already using. I can write things that write into those as well.
Excellent.
And also to process things that they would do manually. Let me give you an example. There was one company that had a team of 4 people, and they used to get inquiries in on a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
They'd get the inquiries in, and there was maybe 4,000 lines of parts on this spreadsheet of things they wanted to the customer wanted them to quote for.
Wow.
So those 4 people would then take 2 weeks to check. They had 3 different systems. One they were using currently and 2 historical systems. So they had to check through each system to find out if they'd sold it before, if they'd quoted it before, how much it was, where they got it from, because they were sourcing these parts from all over the place.
Wow!
So this team of 4 people were taking 2 weeks to do this, and there was a spreadsheet coming in every week. So they were always behind.
Oh my gosh.
So what I did was I wrote them a bit of software that took that spreadsheet, checked all their old systems, zapped out emails to all the suppliers that they'd used before saying, we have a need for this again, can you update the price, blah, 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 blah. Did that automatically. And 4,000 lines it would process in about 45 seconds. So instead of a team of 4 doing it for 2 weeks, it was button clicks.
Wow. I mean, you've only got to look at the cost saving in terms of man hours. I mean, let's assume they're all on, I don't know, £400 a week, and it's taken them 2 weeks. So let's say they're putting probably, 4 hours a day minimum each in. That's like 16 hours a day. I mean, you must have saved them thousands of pounds.
Well, it allowed them to release some of their staff to get out for more sales, to get more inquiries coming in, to do the whole shebang. And basically it would do that. They then had to follow up those emails. So the emails would come back in and go, yeah, we still do it and it's this cost. And so they then had to formulate things up. But basically,
you eliminated a massive time.
Yeah, that illustrates the sort of thing that I wrote for them to do it. So that they didn't have to just be sort of trugging through old systems to find out their data. Grab all the data from all the different places, one online source. There were a couple of databases they had, different formats and whatever. And that's where I was doing with that. And that led on, I'm just waffling now. That led on to doing things on mobile phones. Because
that's your other exciting side of your business.
Yeah. So basically that moved on so that I was then writing software for mobile phones, not traditional mobile apps as such, but software for companies to use on their own phones within their own systems.
Company mobile phone system,
Yeah. So they can access their data from their head office, and they could write out reports, and they could speak to customers or clients and answer all the questions on a form on their phone. That information gets zapped back straight away, straight into their office systems, and the people in the office could see it. So I was writing what I term business mobile software. So I've done custom business software, which was computers and networks and stuff. Then it moved on to mobile business software as such.
Very bespoke to that specific business as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, everything I write myself. I don't outsource it. And the amount of times I've had people come to me and say, "Oh, I've started having an app developed by a guy in India or Poland, and it's not doing it," and all that sort of stuff. I do it all me. I write the code from the bottom up, so it's all custom anyway. So that then led me onto mobile apps, custom mobile apps, so that it's doing mobile apps for businesses to help them to achieve what they want to do, get themselves a lot more engagement, move backwards and forwards. I mean, the websites are great. I love websites. I don't do websites.
I bet you could if you tried.
Well, possibly. But I don't do websites. Websites are very, very important. What a mobile app does when it works with a website, and this is the point I would say a lot of the time, is you can drive people to your website from your mobile app,
of course,
and vice versa.
Yeah.
But a mobile app, you can utilize things within the device's own capabilities to have more of a immediate two-way.
Yeah, more functionality within the app.
More functionality, yeah, and then drive them through to a particular part of your website if they want further information on other bits there.
Wow.
Glenn's already offering his website services. It's always good to know people who do websites, because, as I say, I don't like doing them.
Well, my good friend Glenn Clowes is a fellow geek. Like you, he's been speaking one and zeros, and many a night he wakes up in a cold sweat because a bit of code that's going through his mind is incorrect, and it won't compute. So he's like,
I know the feeling. It's normally about 3 o'clock in the morning, I find.
I've known this guy to get up at 12 at night and work straight through till 8, and then get an hour's sleep and then start again. But complete, computer guy like you, absolutely phenomenal. And I think you guys, because Glenn, he runs a couple of big contracts for a couple of big website providers across the Midlands, as well as being freelance as well. So he does get a lot of traffic, a lot of inquiries, and most certainly, he's a good guy to have in your little network. So I'll make sure you two guys connect up. Excellent.
Always like talking to geeks.
Customers, hey, no fighting over the ones and zeros, though.
No, absolutely.
So, obviously, you've kind of touched on it, but what was your inspiration then to start the bespoke business software? Because obviously, you didn't just wake up one day and say, "Oh, I'm going to be a business software man." What led you to kind of?
As you mentioned before, I was in the Navy and then the police before I did this, which it's really logical, isn't it? Fly helicopters in the Navy, drive fast cars in the police, become a geek.
Of course it is.
It's a regular path, isn't it? A career path. What actually happened was when I was in the police, I was in Warwickshire Police.
Yeah.
And they were shifting over from the old identikit system, which was the strips of photographs that you used to see on Crime Watch, where you picked.
Had a few friends who had those pictures, mate. But I better edit that out.
yeah, edit that bit out. And you'd go round and the victim of the crime would select a set of eyes, a nose, a mouth. Always came out looking like Bruce Forsyth, whichever you picked. Always Bruce Forsyth or Mr. Potato Head, one or the other. So when I was in the police, it was they started to move over to try and do this, to get some software on laptops.
Right.
And it was called the EFIT system, EFIT, which is electronic facial identification technique.
Ooh.
So I was qualified to sergeant at the time, and I was a notice came out saying we need police officers to go and talk to the software company to tell them what we need from the police side of things so that they can do it. Now, most of my fellow sergeants were older, shall we say, longer in the tooth.
Old. You want about old school, mate? Old school.
Yeah.
What's all this game? I'll never catch on.
It's all voodoo and mumbo jumbo and all that stuff. Yeah. So as a younger sergeant, basically, I was detailed. The superintendent said, "Right, you're going." So I went down to Milton Keynes and I spoke to the software company, and they showed me what they were doing, and they showed me these pages and pages of code, and it was almost like an epiphany. It was like you hear stories of people. Well, you hear people of getting struck over the head, and suddenly they can speak Russian. I was looking at these pages of code, and although I didn't totally understand it, I knew it appealed to my logic. I knew what they were trying to achieve.
I'm having a vision at the moment, sir, of you staring at a green screen, which is almost Matrix-like.
Yeah.
And you're just spotting, oh yeah, that's why that goes there.
Yeah.
That's why that goes there. And,
that's almost how it felt. That's what I do most of the day anyway. But that's how it felt, and it created a connection. It created a connection with the logic part of me. That says, okay, if you need to do this, you need to set out these steps, and you need to detail these steps, however small they are.
Yeah.
And the way I liken it to is when you're writing computer code.
Yeah.
If you ask someone to generate some instructions to make a cup of tea,
yes,
for example,
yeah, most
people would say put the kettle on. But the problem you've got is you need to write a conditional loop to start with. Has the kettle got water in it?
We do something similar in Dementia Friends where we ask people to describe all of the steps to make a cup of tea. And I've seen steps, I've seen like 25, 30 steps, and they still manage to miss out certain parts of it. So absolutely what you're saying there, people just assume, oh yeah, you just press that button and it works. No, there's a lot of logic that goes behind the decision before that starts to work.
No, absolutely. So from the cup of tea thing, you need to check the kettle's got water in it before you turn it on. You can't just put the kettle on. Put the kettle on is too generic.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of thing that appeals to me when I'm writing code. The fact that you have to get every single little detail in the right order, doing the right thing, and return a result out that you then use somewhere else.
And it
just
do you help business owners kind of dissect their process? Because I know that I've worked with a couple of guys who do Infusionsoft and Active Campaign, and one of their big bugbears is when they go to the business owner and say, right, describe your processes to me. They go, huh?
Yeah.
So they don't kind of plan out or have anywhere, you know, from the moment an inquiry comes in, the steps that then take place before the order goes out. Do you assist business owners with that? Is that something? Is that a hidden skill that you?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's imperative that I understand exactly what it is they do, so that I can do what I do to get them to achieve what we need to get at the end of it. So for example, I was speaking to someone yesterday. She may or may not be on here at the moment.
I can see it, mate. One of your fans.
Yeah. But the point is, I went through with her and basically said, okay, what do you want to do? What do you do now? How do you do it? How do you process it? How do we make it so that it's automated, so it's quicker, so it's easier, and all that sort of thing. So that is a very, it's an integral part of it, actually understanding what somebody does. And a lot of the time you talk to people and they don't get what they do themselves because they just do it.
I think, right, a great bit of marketing for you would be to create a case study. You can change the names to protect the innocent. A case study around the process that you go through when you are helping a business develop an app. Because I think if you can educate people to that process, well, what you're doing, you're raising their level anyway, because they then realise, and you're then giving them an aspiration, because they know if they can get these processes down and they make logical sense, at any one point they can approach someone like yourself, or they can go to Infusionsoft or Active Campaign or any one of the other process-driven logic softwares which result in something when an input goes in and output comes out. And I think that will help them going forward. So I actually think that's a business mate in itself. I think you should maybe charge £150 for a 2-hour workshop where you sit down with them, go through their processes, give them a document at the end which says, right, this is your processes. There's me invoice. I'll have it paid in 24 hours, please. Jobs are good. And what do you reckon, mate? I'll be your agent.
Sounds great. Perfect. Perfect.
Well, I only say it because I know it's something, and you said it yourself, most of your businesses say, well, we just do this, but they don't realise the bits that have come before.
Yeah, and also the situation is, it's only when you start going through that process and talking to them about what it is they actually do that they start thinking of all the things that they actually could do.
Yes.
As well, on top of that, because the amount of times I've gone to somebody and said, right, what do you want this software to do? And they say, well, we want it to do A, B, and C. And you go, okay, fine. Is there anything else you think it might want to do?
Yes.
So they go, okay, D would be nice. E is great. F, if it can do it, marvelous. So you've got A to F straight away.
Spanned out like that, isn't it?
But then the situation is, after that, you take them back the software and you go, here you go. It does A, B, and C. It does D. E can be done like this, and F is ready to go when you want it to do. And they go, great. Can it do G, H, and I as well? And you go,
you go F, Y, and Z.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's a very logical process in the brain. I mean, my qualifications, although I do have IT qualifications, my degree's in psychology.
So you know people then?
Well, that helps with what I do, because I did a psychology degree when I was in the Navy, and that process of understanding that people don't always know what they want. Yes. And it's only when you start showing them things that they actually get a greater experience, and it starts sparking off other ideas.
Absolutely. The same thing happens when I do client calls, if I run my workshops, if I do a talk. You see that little light bulb going off ping. It's a beautiful sight to see, actually.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Absolutely.
Even if they don't move forward with you, you know that they know what they should be doing to move forward. So there's no excuses then, other than you ain't money, man.
yeah. They start thinking about it properly. Yeah, definitely.
So
that. Did I answer the question?
I think you did, sir. I'll tell you what, this is going to be the longest interview I've ever done. But hey, I'm not complaining. It's just the captions that's going to cause the problem, because I've got to go and type it all in later on. Anyway, keep talking, sir. I like it. Simon, tell some of the members, are there any challenges with the business that you've had to overcome?
Yeah.
Tell me.
Yeah, well, there's obviously the challenges that we've just spoken about actually talking to people and getting them to understand their own processes. But that's a nice challenge. That's really,
mate, honestly, trust me, get that content done up in the form of a blog post or a PDF handout, and it will do all the talking for you in advance.
I'm going to need to make a note, because I'll never remember it.
I'll have notes, mate.
I'll keep watching the video over and over. So challenges, a big one is education, because people don't understand what it is I can do, because it's almost a bit too geeky for them. I mean, you say computers or mobile phones, and people know what they use them for themselves, but to actually say, well, we could do this so that you don't have to spend so much time doing it.
Yeah.
That education role, what an actual mobile app is. People think, oh, Facebook, which is great. It's a mobile app. It's got its own mobile app. That's fine.
It didn't start life as a mobile app, but yeah, go on.
No, exactly. But education to actually, I mean, I've been talking to people about mobile apps for a long time, and I try hard not to be an uber geek when I'm talking about them. When I talk in my head, I'm an uber geek, but when I'm talking to other people, and it's, you see them glaze over because they don't get what it can do. I mean, Jen's put a comment. Hadn't realised how much I would be able to do with an app until we had our chat, and that's the point. Actually getting that.
It's that thing of being able to, and you're right, that the hard thing is, because people, if you haven't gone through it or experienced it, you don't realise what you can achieve. But one of the ways that you could maybe help business owners understand is there is a clear difference between Facebook on a desktop and a Facebook on a mobile. And if you can, because everyone knows what Facebook is, if you can kind of, look, on Facebook desktop, you can do this, but on the mobile, you can't do that. Or on the mobile, you can do this, but you can't on the desktop. I think that kind of shows them a little bit of maybe the possibilities of an app. But the thing is, with coding, mate, you can make an app do pretty much everything, even probably make a cup of coffee if it's hooked up to the right IoT.
Well, that's the. When I say to people, and they say, "Oh, would it be possible to do that?" The answer is almost invariably yes. How? The only question is, how much time and money do you want to throw at it?
Ah, there it is.
So the answer is almost invariably yes, that it can do that, but I need to understand exactly why and how you want it to do it. So the education thing is a big thing. I mean, there are loads of other challenges. I mean, we've spoken about this. I'm trying to get an app through the app stores at the moment.
Glenn's app makes him coffee.
Oh, brilliant! I'll have an espresso, please.
Hey, I want a copy of that for myself.
Brilliant.
Sorry, carry on.
No, it's all right. There's a whole process of things in developing and delivering an app that people, again, it's education to a certain extent.
Yeah. You
have to code the app. You have to create the app. You have to you have to test it. You either create it as what's called a hybrid app that with a little bit of changes will run on both Android or iPhone, or you write them independently depending on what features of the phone you actually want to use.
Yeah.
Because nothing's ever simple. It's like writing software for a PC or a Mac. They're different systems.
Yeah.
So you either write them specifically for each one, or you write a central hub of one and then change things to put them out to post.
Yeah.
then you have to submit them to the app stores where they get reviewed, and they get people.
We'll come back to that one at the end, mate, because obviously you've got a big story about that. But...
Yeah, okay. And the point is, these app stores have an awful lot of guidelines. I mean, last time I looked, Apple developer agreement stretched to about 6 pages of A4. Of things that you need to do and things you can't do and things you should do and all of this sort of stuff. So,
wow.
so I have to have a pretty in-depth knowledge when I'm talking to somebody about a particular app they want to develop, of how I do that to fit in with Apple's developer guidelines and then Google's for Android. So it's the sort of thing that us geeks get an awful lot, and I'm sure Glenn would agree with this. Is the fact that people who aren't geeks go, oh, can you do this? It'll only be a 5-minute job.
I love that phrase.
And you go, well, if it's a 5-minute job, why aren't you doing it? Because it's the story of not just hitting it with a hammer, it's actually having the knowledge and experience of where to hit it with a hammer. So yeah, there are challenges that people don't get. I bet there's challenges in everybody's business. We all have to go through these processes, but I've chosen to do the
hardest one.
Well, no, I wouldn't say hardest. I've chosen one to do that. I have to. I mean, on top of all this, the guidelines change every month. they keep we've updated
nothing stays the same.
Oh, Glenn, 5-minute job. I get them all the time, usually from Nigel. Love it.
Oi! I'll be kicking you off this group.
I found myself an ally in Glenn, I think.
Yeah, you geeks always stick together. What advice, Simon, would you give somebody? Because obviously you've gone through the whole pain of starting a business. When did you start your business, by the way? Was it last year or year before?
No, well, I've been out of the police since 2001.
Oh my gosh!
So I've been working for myself for nearly 20 years. Oh, I'm so old.
Oh, you ain't, mate. You ain't. As old as you feel, or the woman you feel. Is that the same? I don't know.
My wife's older than me.
Yeah, but you're only 25.
Okay.
So what advice would you give somebody who wanted to start a business today, this week, this month?
One word. People. Talk
Expand.
to people.
Tell me more.
Talk to people. I mean, it was a situation where if you put yourself in the position I was in, I'd been in the Royal Navy, I'd been in the police, I was surrounded by people. People knew who I was, they knew what I did when I was going through the electronic facial identification technique, they knew that I was the one doing it, and there was a whole structure around me. And the biggest mistake I made was I came out of the police and expected everybody to know me. And come hammering down my door. Now I came out of the police and I landed a really, really good client that I've worked for a very long time.
Yeah.
Which insulated me because it paid the bills and it put food on the table and all of that sort of stuff. But I expected people to be hammering down my door going, oh, do this software for this and that. And because it was my own fault, because I'd come out of areas where that structure is already made for you. You are within a well-structured environment, and people know why they need to come to you and when they need to come to you.
Yeah. You're part of the decision process for X, Y, or Z, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. You're part of that network.
Yeah.
And I didn't network early enough when I came out. I didn't talk to people enough.
Right.
I sat back and basically waited for people to come and hammer down the door, which they didn't do.
What point did you decide that you had to get out and speak to more people?
Probably, I probably did that thing of not talking to people for about 9 years, because I had this client that was ongoing for lots and lots of time, that was paying me a reasonable amount and covering everything. So I didn't need to. It wasn't until that started coming to an end that I thought, no, nobody's ringing me. Nobody's hammering on my door.
You had your COVID crisis years ago then?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You came to a point where you realised, hold on a second, if this guy goes, the pipeline is not filled.
Yeah, absolutely. So it really is that my one piece of advice would be people. Talk to people. Businesses are all about people.
It's all about people. I've been saying this for ages. It is all about people, whether you're sharing knowledge, whether you're helping. You know, sharing knowledge doesn't mean that people aren't going to pay you to use your services. Sharing knowledge actually convinces people that you know what you're talking about. Sharing knowledge means that those people who feel that they've learned from you then come and find everything else that you talk about. And then when they're ready to make that decision, because you're the one who's taking the time to educate them, guess what? You're the one they'll probably want to give the money to. So going back to you, Simon, everything that you've said today, I'm going to send you this video when it's been tidied up. And I am going to transcribe it, but there's some really, you've created your own content here from what you've said. You've created your own marketing strategy. You don't realize it, but you have. So most certainly, you know, I'd go back through it, and the parts where you're talking about the problems you're getting with customers, they don't know processes, they haven't done processes. Explain in Swinglish, plain English, a process. If not, give me a shout, mate. I'm more than happy to jump on that with you, and we'll write something together. But I truly believe if you can get across what you've said to me today in layman's terms and explain the differences very simply, people who get it will then realise, right. And honestly, that's something definitely to consider. Two more questions. But last one. Is there anything that the group can help you with right now?
Education.
We're not bringing you food.
No. Well, I'm all right. I've had a shop delivered yesterday. I'm okay. New and improved ways to educate people. Now, videos are great.
Yeah.
The situation I have is I can write reports, I can write documents, I can write content to a certain extent, although I have to be very careful that it's not too geeky. But it really is a situation where it's great when you get in front of someone, because you can go through it, you can talk to them. I'd like to think I'm a pretty reasonable communicator, face to face.
You're very good. So you used the whole room spellbound when you were speaking. Get out of yourself.
I was trying to be modest, Nigel. Come on.
Hey, I'll blow your trumpet.
Thanks, mate.
I'll blow your trumpet for you, mate.
Talking about blowing trumpets, there you go. It's what lockdown does to you, teaching myself the bugle.
Wow.
Well, I play the ukulele anyway, and I'm a bit of a music nut. So, getting in front of people is great. As soon as I'm in front of somebody who has got even the slightest inkling that they might need some software or they might need an app, then that's great, because I can talk to them and I can explain it to them, and I don't have to be the geek that I am when I'm stuck in this room. And generate a relationship and move forward with them, because that's one of the biggest buzzes I get, actually working with somebody and moving forward with them. So getting in front of people is absolutely great. Getting to be in front of them and to get them to have, I'm not explaining this really well, get them to have that slightest inkling in the first place.
Education.
Follow what I'm saying? Yeah, it's that education.
I'm telling you this now. If you can find a way to get a very simple, consistent message out, which allows people to go back to your online assets, whether it's a video, a PDF, whether it's a website, which then keeps it very simple. Right, this is an app. The difference between a website-based app and a bespoke app is, with a website-based app, you can replicate the website. With a bespoke app, you can add additional or completely new systems and processes,
features.
So the app will look nothing like the website. It wouldn't function like the website, but it would be independent, be used for your business and your website as well. And literally, you could just use examples. So an example of this would be boom or boom, boom or boom, and that could be your educational piece, because you've come out with some really good stuff today, which for me, I understand the difference, but I think anyone listening now who doesn't know what an app was before will have a little bit more clarity of, right. So this guy could create a membership app for me, which I could have independent members who have this app, who could have notifications sent straight to them, nothing to do with my website whatsoever. I could send them promotions, I could send them fitness programs, I could send them videos, but it hasn't got to go on my website. It can sit as a standalone product on its own. It can have its own CRM system built in. It can make coffee.
No, that's only Glenn's. It's only Glenn's that makes coffee.
But if you can get that down, because once you wrote the content, mate, it's written. Once you've got the content on your website, it's there forever, which means that you haven't got to keep repeating the same thing. If someone says, "Oh, Simon, tell me about your apps," oh, check out my blog post. It gives you a complete breakdown in English. My dog's walking. A complete breakdown in English of what an app is. But what that does the conversation for you. It means that you haven't then got to, well, what's your understanding? Do you know what you know what I mean? So I look at doing something. And like I say, this video will be perfect because you've already come out with the answers. You've already told the audience what you need them to know. So, hey, there's a method in my madness, young man.
There is a bit, yeah.
So, guys, Simon, in terms of help, he doesn't actually need that much help. What he's saying is he wants new ways of educating people. We all know those ways ourselves. Let's share the love. If there's ways of educating your audience which is working, send them along to Simon, post them in the group, and he will take those ideas and implement them. And there'll be a small commission sent your way of an exclamation mark or a question mark. Anyway, enough of that. One last thing, Simon, before you go, because you guys aren't aware, but Simon has been on a bit of a mission to save the NHS money. Now, we're not talking £10 here or £20 here. We're talking millions of pounds. Simon, could you just quickly explain to these guys what it is that you're involved in?
Yeah, well, it's a situation. Since the lockdown, my wife is a neonatal ITU nurse. She works at an undisclosed hospital, and they have to pay for bulk SMS text messaging services to zap out messages to their staff to say, we need staff for this shift or that shift, or is anyone available now? And they ran out of text messages back in November. They ran out and couldn't send any more. So they had to use 5 different WhatsApp groups that all their staff were in. So when all this madness kicked off, I thought this could be done with an app. Dead easy. If you get all the members of a unit on an app, you get the managers and coordinators with their own login so they can zap out push notifications to all their staff members in one go. Then you're away. You can also put on there when your future shifts are.
Brilliant.
So they can go on at any time. And also they can hit a button and say, if you need me, I'm available now, and I'm available for the next 9 hours.
Brilliant.
So to get that communication going, I thought it was a great idea, because I was talking to my wife about the problem she has at work. I thought it was a really great idea. So I developed it, designed it, did it all off my own back, funded it myself, all that sort of stuff. I then submitted it to the app stores so that it could be downloaded. Yeah, Google and Apple. And it has been a nightmare. It has been an absolute nightmare. I had my Google developer account suspended by Google because they said I was trying to, what was the term? Capitalize on the circumstances. Apple,
like they're not.
Yeah, well, Apple kept coming back saying you're breaching intellectual property things, even though all the icons in it are my own or ones that I've got license to, and all that. And Apple, I must have gone back and forwards with them about 14, 15 times with new updates saying I've done this, I've done that. That's now sitting in appeal with Apple. Google, I appealed it 3 times, and that's now through. Google have published it. So it is available. Yeah.
Oh, please send me the link later, so I can send it to some of my care home companies, clients that I've got around the country.
Yeah, sure. So it's been
Well, mate, the thing is, when I last saw you before this, you did have a full head of hair.
I had a big beard as well, I think. I had my Submariner's beard. So I'm determined to do it, but there's always a different way of skinning the same cat.
Yeah. And I think one of the things, and I want you guys who are listening to hear this, this is why you have to build your foundation on your own land. Because, you know, Simon rightly has got an app, a brilliant app, which is going to save the NHS millions of pounds. But because he's got to go through somebody else's land, somebody else's platform, he's going to find it hard to get back to mass market unless he goes on their land. Now, if Simon had his own land in his own platform, then all he has to do is drive people to his own land. Now, think of all you guys out there who've got Facebook pages but no websites. Let's imagine Facebook tomorrow say, "Oh, you business pages, you got to pass £100 a month." 80% of you will disappear tomorrow if Facebook start charging you for your Facebook business page, which means that your business would go. Now, if you haven't taken the time to have your own land, your own website, your own landing page, I don't care what, then you're running the risk. You know, Simon, he's a brilliant app developer, and he's had problems getting something through which is going to save Britain, not just the NHS, Britain, millions of pounds. But because there's someone above who's like, you know, that's been kibosh. So, guys, listen to what this guy's saying, you know, and it's really a powerful testament for people to be making sure that your online foundations are really strong. So, Simon, you're back telling us the hospital that your wife's at. How successful has the app trial been?
Pretty good. The people who have looked at it, who are in the business as such, really like it. Really like the idea of it. Really like the concept of it. Think it's going to do them an awful lot of good. They're already coming out with more ideas.
Have you managed to equate the cost savings that they'll make just by implementing it in that one department?
Not as yet. No,
Well,
absolutely.
How many texts have been sent in that period from when they renewed till November? What was the cost? How many messages went? Oh, well, by the way, you'll get, you know, that cost is now negated because you've got the license and it's endless notification. So, yeah. Oh mate, I'm so proud of you. So when you're on TV or Forbes, or Time,
okay,
you're like, I'm giving you all that. Okay, I know it.
Yeah. Super. But that's where we are.
You're my hero. Listen, before you go, mate, I'm just going to do a couple of shout outs to some of the people who have joined us. Good grief, 34 comments. Right,
God.
Let's see what your fans said. Let's have a look. Right.
My fans.
Right, someone said Simon. There's no relevance there at all.
I think it was because he's misspelled Simon the time before.
Gotcha. Well, a big shout out to Trisha. Thanks for joining us, Trisha.
Thank you, Trisha.
Ian Price, thank you very much. So I did see you pop up. Yeah. Jen Styles, you did say you were going to be here, so glad to see you, honey.
Yay, Jen.
Jen. Do you know Jen Styles taught me some massage techniques through FaceTime, which I then used on my wife and I actually removed some of her pain. So Jen was on the screen, I'm here, she's saying, no, move your hand, put it under her armpits. I'm like,
oh, God.
Did these 3 techniques, and mate, I've got magic hands now. I'm like some mystical kind of massaging god. Call me Abdullah. Big shout out to you, Glenn. Thanks, Glenn. You and Simon do need to connect because he's a god of code. You are a god of code. Together, you will make babies of gods of code. So that's good.
Friend request sent, Glenn.
Karen Bourne, thanks Karen for joining us. Hi Natasha, another lady who loves ones and zeros. Natasha builds websites in her sleep. In fact, she wakes up just like then going, oh, it's not working. She builds websites for fun. Again, somebody else. I know she's had clients come to her very recently who want apps. Some of them just straightforward clones of websites. Some of them very, very bespoke. So I think for yourself, Simon, she's definitely someone worth speaking to. She can probably start adding a few people into your funnel. And I think...
Is that Trisha, was it? Sorry.
Tasha Gordon. Tasha Gordon. And hi, Jason. Hope you're well, mate. Your YouTube channel's going well, very, very well. Thank you, mate. Good that you are keeping me on your WhatsApp lips. That's great. Does anybody have any questions for Simon before I let him get back to his coding? Please have questions for him. He doesn't want to go back to his coding yet.
Yeah, looking at that green screen with all the digits dropping down.
I've noticed you've got a bit of is that green behind you or aqua?
God knows, I didn't paint it.
I was going to say, is that your virtual reality background?
Oh, maybe. I should have it as a green screen.
Yes, Tasha said she's definitely going to be connecting with you, mate. So, you know, those two guys there, Glenn and Tash, most certainly will be good additions to your sales funnel.
Friend request sent, Tash.
Yeah, they do get inquiries in, and it'd be good for them to be able to say, well, we've got a guy who does the bespoke and can create any concept of app that you want, or whatever you need it to do. This guy could do it. It's not going to be cheap, but when he's finished, it's going to accelerate your business forward because you will have something that your competitors haven't got. Boom! Oh, I should do sales, me, shouldn't I?
You should. You missed your call in there.
Simon Toon, thank you so much for your time today, man.
Absolute pleasure. Loved it.
This video will go on YouTube. It'll probably go on YouTube. I do like have a bit of a calendar for YouTube, so I try to post to YouTube once a week. As soon as it's gone on there, as soon as I've edited it, I'll send you the edited version so you can do what you want with it. And it'll go on YouTube in about a week and a half. I've got one more from last week to go on. But
absolutely fine.
If you want to go through those details again of what we spoke about regarding your content, anytime, text me, message me. We'll do another half an hour. I know what you should be saying. All you need to do is decide where you want that message to be permanently.
Great.
Excellent. Love sales, hate selling members. I love all of y'all. And Simon too. Well, you know I love you anyway, man. Love. Boop, boop, boop. Oh, there's one person missing. Actually, Stacey Cowder was supposed to come on today. Stacey, you're very naughty. Simon shaved his beard purposely for you to appear today.
Absolutely.
I'll be having words with you, Cowder. Guys, have a wonderful afternoon. Look out for some content from me over the next couple of days. I've got a new blog post, which hopefully should help a lot of you. I've also got a couple of training videos that will be going in to help you understand what it is that I do. And yeah, let's keep sharing the love. Let's stay positive. We're coming out of this crisis now. Let's make sure we're ready for the new beginning of the world post-COVID. Boom. Simon, it's been emotional.
Absolute pleasure. Love you lots.
I'll see you later, dude. You take care, all right? See you later, guys.
Take care.
Bye. Bye.